Rhythm, R-H-Y-T-H-Y-M. Rhythm is so important in clothing design and as you sew, especially as I do upcycle sewing, but just in general, rhythm is important. I have my degree in home economics, and very little of what I learned then has been anything that I have actually used, but I remember in interior design and in clothing design being taught the principle of rhythm, and that's probably been the most important thing that I learned in all those 4 years of college. It's repetition of an element that makes something all hold together. So I'm going to show you some garments and point out how I used that principle of rhythm. It's a very important design principle. So here we go. This was an Elvis t-shirt. We're an hour away from Memphis, and this last summer I bought some Elvis t-shirts and just had a ball all summer long creating some garments which are for sale. One of a kind. On this garment, do you see the silver that makes Elvis is repeated in a little bit of silver in the sleeve fabric. But then I came up with using this little cross-grain piece of black and white striped knit that really helps connect it all together. Do you see this is kind of a silvery light color, so I brought that up to the neck and down to the hemline with that cross grain piece of knit. And then I also have this little sheer effect up here at the neckline and down at the hem, so it makes your eye travel around the garment. This is another upcycle garment. What element can you see in it that's repeated that makes your eye travel all around the garment? Do you see here, 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 here?
Do you call that ribbing?
Yeah, it's just a little narrow piece of it's usually vertical grain knit jersey. I did it bias here at the neck. Then I have just a little piece. Can you zoom in here? This is my rolled edgings, and I have a video on that. It's just a piece, a strip. This was probably 3/4 of an inch wide, and I pulled it a little bit and stitched down the middle. So then you see how it rolls. But that helps your eye move all around the garment. This was a sweater, this was a sweater, stash fabric, knit t-shirt from Walmart. That's in my wardrobe. This one is a very good example. What is the element that makes your eye travel all around? It's this little sheer print scarf. This was a scarf that was too short. I wasn't wearing it, so it became just a little binding that I used. It's actually called a strap seam that helped me put pieces of this sweater together. But do you see your eye follows around? Look at the back. Do you see how much more interesting that is with this element going on?
Yeah.
And if I had that on today with my darker lipstick, do you see how it connects in with me?
You would be very coordinated.
Here's another Elvis garment. This one can be worn up like this or down like this. This was a scarf. So I have this white color. I needed to bring that light value up into the jacket, which is why I chose this kind of shiny fabric, but also I made use of this man's tie. Men's ties are bias, so if you cut strips of them, you've got a wonderful trim to use. But you see the little white here helps connect this white down here up to the face, and is also for sale. You can see that I love striped knits. I learned this from Marcy Tilton, wonderful fabric store online, marcytilton.com. I learned it from her. Just a little striped fabric can do exactly what we're talking about. You see here I have it at the neck, and just the light of this t-shirt that I bought, that was just original on the t-shirt. I used men's ties. But you see the repetition of that little print plus this white, it just all kind of makes it work together. I've had to replace these ties several times. I love this garment. I keep repairing my upcycled top. Again, a knit trim. But do you see how it creates the rhythm? Here it is at the hemline, the neck, and the sleeves. But it also makes it more interesting than just a normal t-shirt. That's the fun of sewing. You can put the icing on the cake, I say. You can make it just be more fun and more special. I'll tell you, I spent all summer with Elvis. This is another upcycle garment with the front of a t-shirt quilted onto the front and the reverse. This is dark, this is light. So I wanted to bring the light down into the rest of the garment. So do you see I put a little gray trim here, here, up at the neck, around the arms. With that repetition of the white, or light gray, I feel like it helps connect. Here are the white letters, Carl Perkins. It makes your eye flow around the garment.
And show the back again. Okay.
Okay. Found this at an antique estate sale. It was just a gored dress, wonderful fabric, and then the t-shirt. I did a lot of blogging on my website about creating these garments, so you might want to check that out. This is a very special garment. I wore this to my daughter's wedding. It'll be 6 or 7 years coming up here soon. This was a two-piece knit ensemble. I think it was a St. John knit that my mom had, and she just gave it to me. It was just in my stash, along with this silk knit t-shirt from my dad. They both passed on, but I felt like they were at the wedding because I had created this garment out of the skirt and the top, plus Dad's top, to wear at the wedding. And I do know that there's a blog post about that as well. But the trim, back to rhythm, the trim, do you see, is what goes around the garment that connects it all. And I only had so much trim. I need to wear this again soon. Back to Elvis. This denim jacket I went to Goodwill and found. And this was a t-shirt, so I cut out the letters. But what is the color that is repeated around the garment that makes it hang together?
The orange.
Very good, yes. If I had just had the orange here and nowhere else, can you imagine? At least it would have been around the face, which would be good. Even if it weren't on the pockets, but I had to do the pockets because those were red plaid. I had to undo those buttonhole pockets and redo them. This is a man's tie. And this was the body of the t-shirt from these letters. As I recall, I even have the pink Cadillac on the back. It's the orange that helps connect it all together. This is another upcycle garment. This was a skirt that I wasn't wearing. It was a border print. This and this were part of the border. But the cream in here, connecting with this t-shirt, which was a man's shirt. It's about time to go shopping the men's departments again, because the fabric in men's clothing is far nicer than the fabric in women's. Honestly, it is. And when it's the change of the season, you will find really good bargains in the clearance racks in the men's department. I had this suede in my stash, so do you see how perfect it was with the cream color here? But I didn't just put it at the neck, I repeated it in some piping here and here. So it really helps it hang together. There's a several part video series on this garment. So do you see here again at the back? I hope you're getting the idea of rhythm, the repetition of some element in color or design within a garment that makes it all hang together. So on this one, it's the black, right? And I have it in 3 places. I always like to do odd numbers of places. Furthermore, to help connect it, I've done top stitching in black. This was a whole bag of t-shirts that a friend of mine dyed in her swimming pool. Swimming pools have bleach in them. And these were promotional t-shirts that she just said, here, I bet you'll do something with these. So I've had fun doing that. And here's yet one more piece. This is very subtle, but do you see the red here? When I sewed this button on, I chose red thread. So that helps connect it all together. Another Elvis t-shirt. And this was a pair of harem knit pants. This was the waistband of the pants. So obviously showing off some of my upcycled garments. Most of them all are for sale. But I hope you've got some idea of how important rhythm is in creative sewing. My mission is to share all I know about sewing here on my channel so that you can come to love sewing just as much as I do.